Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. In today's video we're going to look at Gamecube gaming upscale to 4K resolution. Now this is actually a 1080p screen, so is it really 4K? Well, I'm not sure, but I am going to use this macro lens to compare 1080p and 4K to see if there's a difference. So check that out near the end of the video. But first of all, let's jump into Dolphin, which we'll be using for our 4K gaming. And the reason I say this is 4K is because if we go into the settings, graphic settings, enhancements, and internal resolution, I've set this to 6 times the native Gamecube resolution, 3840 by 3168, which is actually higher than 4K resolution. And it says right here, for 4K. So let's see if the Odin 2 Portal can handle this resolution, how it looks, and how it runs. And I'm also going to be testing out some HD texture packs and even an Ultra HD texture pack to see how that transforms the look of some of these games too. So first of all, let's start with one of my favorite games, Ace Golf. I am a massive fan of this game. For this particular game, we're not using a texture pack. This is just how the game usually looks, but upscaled up to 4K resolution. Let's swing the club, and you can see here it's running really well. The frame rate counter down here seems to be fluctuating between the 40s and 50s, but if that wasn't there, I would think this is just a locked on 60. There is the occasional slowdown sometimes after I hit the ball and it changes camera angle. You might see it skip a beat for a second. But apart from that, everything feels like a very smooth 60 frames per second. And actually, I think this is a European ROM, so we are actually maxing out at 50 rather than 60. So maybe that's why it does feel so smooth. Let's just see how my approach play is here, coming up to the green. I'm going to put some backspin on it like a pro. And for anyone who's not played this game, ooh, I highly recommend it. It's very fun. This is definitely the game I played the most on my GameCube growing up. And it's running flawlessly here. 4K resolution, it looks excellent. So no problems with this game, let's jump into another one. Next up, let's try the Simpsons Hit and Run, another game that I loved growing up. Again, it's looking incredible. This time we have 60 frames per second because this is an NTSC ROM. And we're not really going to have any problems upscaling to 4K with any of these games, but that might change when we add high definition or ultra high definition texture packs. So let's just quickly jump into a car and see how the driving experience is, because that's one of the most fun parts of this game, just driving around Springfield. Sorry. On some devices when testing this game, you get some frame drops when you're driving around quickly. But here we're at a very solid 60 frames per second, even with this 6 times upscaled resolution. I usually do recommend GameCube over PS2 for this game particularly, because I feel that Dolphin just handles it really well. And if you'd like to play the Simpsons Hit and Run on your Odin 2 Portal, this is a great way to do it. And one thing some people might be wondering is what about gecko codes or widescreen patches? So let's just quickly apply a widescreen patch to this to make it widescreen. We'll come into the settings, graphic settings, hacks, and then we'll come all the way down, enhancements, and then widescreen hack. Then we'll come to the aspect ratio and change that to force 16:9. And it seems that it doesn't quite fill out the edges of the screen, but it is certainly wider than it was before, and it's looking pretty good. So 6 times upscaled 4K GameCube gaming with widescreen hacks is working flawlessly here on the Odin 2 Portal. Now let's jump into some other games and add texture packs to further enhance the visuals. I will show you on the screen now a quick example of what these texture packs do, taking the original Paper Mario from this and changing it to this. As you can see, it's a huge improvement. Some of these have been upscaled by AI, some of them have been hand-drawn by fans. And let's jump into Paper Mario and see how it works. You will see at the top left, we have loaded in 6,000 custom textures. And just looking at this, it looks incredible. It says the game was made in 2004, but with these freshly drawn new textures, it looks like a game from 2024. Even the text on the screen right now is razor sharp. So if we can get fluid performance here with these upscaled textures and upscaled resolution, this is going to be a beautiful experience. We do have these black bars at the top and the bottom, which I'm not sure if that's caused by missing textures. I'm not sure if that's part of the game. I don't think it is. Or it might be to do with the widescreen hacks that I've applied. So one thing I'm just going to try is I'm going to turn the widescreen hacks off while we're using custom texture packs. So let's change the aspect ratio back to automatic. Now the black bars at the top seem to match the sides, and it looks like it makes a little bit more sense. So I guess those black bars were to show this is a cinematic. Ooh, an error just flashed up on the screen saying there was a problem with the GPU and I should disable dual core in the settings. So that is interesting to note that this might not work as swimmingly as I first hoped. And this is my first time testing Paper Mario, but I have tested some other games that I know do work, so let's just jump into those for now and I'll show you how they run. So let's begin with Animal Crossing. We've loaded 14,000 textures for this one, and just from the text alone, you can see it is very sharp. The original was quite blurry, even when upscaled 6 times. The intro to this game is quite long, but I hope you can see from the character models and the text, this is extremely sharp yet again. I have tested this upscaled game on my Retroid Pocket 5 as well, so check that out if you haven't seen it already. And also in that video, I explain how to install these texture packs for yourself, so I will link that in the description below if you'd like to set this up. But instead of just watching intro cutscenes, let's now jump into what I think is the most impressive texture pack of all of them, and that is Super Mario Sunshine. There are 2,173 custom textures, and if I quickly load my save file here, this looks incredible. These are not only HD textures, they are Ultra HD textures. And as we look around, the quality is just so good. Let's run over and talk to this guy. And if you look at this closely, the text is so sharp and everything just looks wonderful. So I'm going to show you on the screen 3 versions of this using this macro lens. I will show you how it looks at 4K resolution with no texture pack. I will show you how it looks with the texture pack running at 1080p resolution. And finally, I'll show you how it looks with the texture pack at 4K, so you can see the differences for yourself. Editing Ryan here, so let's really zoom in and check out the differences. Here is 4K without the texture pack and focus on the sharpness of the text. And if we now go over to 4K with a texture pack, it is a huge difference. As I flip between the two, you can see a ginormous difference between the two. But 4K with a texture pack and 1080p with a texture pack are pretty much the same, as we can kind of expect because this is a 1080p panel. If we really zoom into this, and you'll see my macro lens picking up all the individual pixels here, and if we then flick between them, there are some slight subtle differences. If you look at the red and orange within the letters here, there are some very slight differences, but we are essentially looking at the same thing here, which was to be expected because it is a 1080p panel, but I just thought it would be a fun test. If you focus in the arch of the H here, or if you focus along the edge of the tree, there do seem to be some subtle differences, although that may just be because it's a different frame within the game. Also, whatever this line is under the R seems to change. But once again, we're using a 1080p panel here, so 1080p with the texture pack is absolutely lovely, and a huge improvement over not using a texture pack at all. This now looks very blurry when comparing to 1080p with a texture pack. So I would highly recommend using a texture pack, and it doesn't matter whether you use that 1080p or 4K because there's no real performance difference. And while I do seem to notice a little bit of added sharpness with 4K, it might not necessarily be a good thing. Let's look at one more example now. This is the start screen of Animal Crossing, and I do apologize that I'm just showing you static text and not moving videos. These frames are taken from moving videos, but it's quite hard to compare them when we're zoomed in this much and they keep moving all over the screen. So here is the press start screen of Animal Crossing in 4K without a texture pack, and here it is in 4K with a texture pack. So once again, a huge difference, and I highly recommend the texture packs. If we once again compare 4K with a texture pack to 1080p with a texture pack, I would like to say the 4K one again does look a little bit sharper around the edges. I'm not sure how well this will come across on YouTube, but looking at the raw video files here, there is a little bit of added sharpness. But interestingly, when we zoom in a lot, it actually seems like the 1080p one is sharper. But once again, a 400% zoom on an already macro shot here, you would really struggle to tell a difference between these two shots. So as was to be expected, with a 1080p screen on your device, stick to 1080p if you're using a texture pack. And if you're not using a texture pack, maybe just scale as high as your device will let you. And if you're not using a texture pack, I would recommend you download one, because look at the difference between these two, and look at the difference between these two. Obviously, this is only text, but it's incredibly noticeable in gameplay, so I hope this silly little scientific experiment was useful for you. Suddenly a worrying alarm is going off outside my home, so I think it's time for me to get out of here. I hope this video was helpful and interesting. If it was, please give me a like and subscribe if you didn't already. Once again, check out the link in the description if you'd like to check out these custom texture packs for yourself. Also, while you're there, you can check out my affiliate link to the Odin 2 portal if you'd like to buy your own. And I'll see you again very soon for another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.